I think all my
This
people.
next
know
one won't probably
that
be
it
as
is.
easy, but we'll see who signed in. Only a few. 1713, Sawyer.
Mr. Chair and members, Senate Bill 1713 requires the Department of Health Services to adopt rules by July 1st, 2026 to implement, enforce, and regulate marijuana, marijuana products, and marijuana establishments that include establishing and implementing a rural opportunity initiative to create tax revenue and economic opportunities for rural communities. The bill requires DHS to issue marijuana establishment licenses and nonprofit medical marijuana dispensary registration certificates to entities that are qualified pursuant to the Rural Opportunity Initiative. The bill also allows a dual licensee's retail site to be relocated only to an unserved rural community in accordance with the Rural Opportunity Initiative. And in order to qualify for a license pursuant to the Rural Opportunity Initiative, an applicant must complete and submit a DHS-approved form or form showing that the applicant has a landowner's consent to use property in the eligible unserved rural community for a marijuana retail site, and a DHS-approved form or form showing the property is in compliance with local zoning restrictions applicable to where a dual licensee may be located. Finally, and then an entity that becomes a dual licensee may move its retail site only to another unserved rural community that is not opted out of the Rural Opportunity Initiative. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Sawyer? All right. Thank you very much. All right. We'll start with Jessica Rainbow.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Jessica Rainbow on behalf of the Arizona Rural Opportunity Alliance. And, you know, I didn't need glasses when I first came here to committee, but it's been so long, my eyes have aged 10 years. This bill helps to address the problem of rural Arizona having little to no access to licensed dispensaries in their communities. So a couple of quick things. We've seen nearly all rural dispensaries have relocated to Metro or Tucson, leaving thousands of rural residents without reasonable access. Limited local access to dispensaries forces long drives for consumers and patients. Limited local access also means higher instances of the dangerous practice of residents getting product from unlicensed sources where we don't know where the product is coming from or if it's been tested. Rural municipalities also miss out on sales tax, excise tax, and other ancillary economic benefits, further exacerbating the economic void that plague our rural communities. And under current rules, rural communities that desire dispensaries have limited to no means to get one due to current license cap structure that puts rural Arizona at disadvantage. So what this bill seeks to remedy is some of that existing disparity by creating a very limited exception to the existing caps on marijuana licenses by allowing cities and towns with 50,000 or fewer residents to apply for one dual license in their city if they choose. Under this bill, the cities have the ability to opt out of establishing a new dispensary site in their community. And this bill further limits the dual license marijuana retail site must be located at least 25 miles from an existing dispensary. And importantly, once a dual license is established under this bill, the license cannot be moved out of an urban area, to an urban area. Which is exactly what has happened under existing structure harming rural areas. So, and I'll just note that, we've had conversations with the Arizona Dispensary Association, and we continue to be dedicated to finding a solution to addressing specific concerns they have with this bill, which I'm sure you will hear about. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jessica?
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Jessica. I guess it was shared with me in regards to this is a violation of Prop 207. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Senator Shope, Chairman Shope, Senator Galbadome, You asked if it was a violation. So yes, currently under Prop 207, there isn't a mechanism for the new licenses for these rural areas as we see it. It would require a 3/4 vote of the legislature to, in accordance with Prop 207, to further the cause if the legislature chooses to. So, I mean, I agree with you that under Prop 207, we're really restricted in adding these additional licenses.
Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Mr. Chairman, Jessica, because I serve an area that does not, has just a few, two dispensaries, and my constituents are saying we need more. We have to travel to a metro area, Tucson. And so if we don't get the 3/4 vote or the vote that we need, we're pretty much in the same boat in that regards if this bill is not passed.
Jessica.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, yes, I mean, I think, our position is we would like to see these opportunities in rural Arizona for the reasons that you just brought up, and this is a way to achieve that. There might be other mechanisms, but creating something that's really limited specifically for the rural areas, we believe that this is a good step forward to get dispensaries open in those rural areas that you mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right.
To that point.
Oh, Mr.
To
Gow.
that point, yes, Senator Gabaldon, yes, you would need a 3/4 so that we can get those out there.
Yes.
All right. You are done.
Great.
Julie Gunnigal, and then Kathy Sensman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Julie Gunnigal. I'm working with the Arizona Rural Opportunity Alliance. I am also a longtime patient advocate for medical marijuana patients throughout the state. I am urging you today to support the passage of 1713 as it is exceptional policy, not just for Arizona, but also for its patients. On the weekly, I hear from patients who have to drive over an hour to access the medicine they need. These are patients that are compromised. These are patients that are undergoing cancer treatments. These are patients who are permanently disabled or are facing other chronic conditions, and we are asking them to travel absolutely insane amounts of time in order to have access. And under the current licensing scheme, this will not change. It will not change because licenses can and do relocate. It will not change because the average cost of a license right now in the free market is between $7 and $10 million. It will not change because under the current pharmacy count, with pharmacies and brick and mortars not expanding at the rate the next licenses will be issued in about 90 years. And it will not change because this model will not be viable in any other way. For cities that want a dispensary, that want the good jobs, that want the revenue to come in, this is a way to provide for those patients in a cost-effective, viable business structure. And there is one group that will absolutely hate this bill, and that is our rural illicit market. Because make no mistake about it, while patients can drive and do drive hours to access their medicine, when it is more conveniently located, they will buy from the illicit market. And when they do, they are facing products that are not tested, and those cities and towns are forgoing that tax revenue. And for that reason, 1713 makes sense for patients and will provide prosperity to these rural communities and for those who want to be opted into this system. And I'm here for any of your questions.
Any questions for Julie? Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Kathy?
Good evening. Kathy Sensman for the Arizona Dispensaries Association. We rise in respectful opposition to Mr. Gowan's bill. The Arizona Dispensaries Association believed that Prop 207 that was passed by the voters made it clear that Arizona wanted a limited and tightly regulated marijuana industry, and that's what we have. I wanted to address, I had a whole lot of things to say, but I wanted to address a couple things that were brought up. And that was that there are not dispensaries in rural Arizona. And that in 2023, DHS issued licenses, I believe it was like 13 of them, to rural Arizona to make sure that there was a minimum of 2 dispensaries in every county. And so, and in fact, they also just issued 26 more in social equity licenses, which I know has some of the concerns of how DHS did that, but there are licenses that are out there. There's also delivery that's available from dispensaries, so the travel can be overcome with that. And quite frankly, we're just not seeing the growth. You know, when you're looking at medical licenses, they've gone from 400,000 card holders to down to 100,000. So we're just not seeing the growth in the market, because if there was, and where they're saying in rural Arizona, folks would move licenses. And what we're concerned about is the use of the word dual license in this bill. Dual licenses, by their nature, means that they could move. So, you know, their concern of people have moved out of rural Arizona with their dual licenses is absolutely correct. But what's happened is DHS has put more licenses back into those communities. And by using dual license, you're conflicting with the definition of what dual license is. A dual license means you can move it anywhere you want. They're saying that it's fixed. And so we have concerns with the use of that term. Also, dual licenses are no longer issued. They are issued based on either medical or they're based on adult use, recreational marijuana. And so dual licenses were only for those that were medical before Prop 207. And then once Prop 207 passed, those were dual licenses. So they're asking for something that we think is inappropriate in this situation if you're looking for a fixed license. And what we're also saying is there are already fixed licenses that are in counties. The other part of it, when we were talking to DHS trying to understand this bill a little bit, we're concerned of what the cap would be. Is this a now free-for-all for licenses everywhere? Because it's been a very limited 10% of the pharmacies. You know, we haven't wanted to turn Arizona into California or Colorado. And so how many dispensaries does this mean that we could have? Is it unlimited? And then also, you know, where would these go? And Ms. Gavaldon, you know, you may not be eligible for one under this bill. Because you're potentially within 25 miles of another dispensary, and under their bill, your community would not be eligible. And so there's a lot of questions with this, and we very much appreciate Jessica Rainbow and the folks in this bill communicating with us on it. But I think there's just some things that are insurmountable in the bill with the language that they've used that just cause us great concern. So with that, I'll pause and answer any questions.
Any questions for Kathy? Awesome.
Oh, Mr. Gowan, I was looking at the...
No,
Do you know how hard I
don't
worked
get
for the
him
last
going.
3 hours to be ready for you?
Do
Thank
want
you,
me
guys.
to ask
Appreciate you.
something?
No, we don't. All right. Let's get Mr. Carroll back in here and we'll go ahead and vote this. No, we're going to go ahead and vote this since we're here.
I have a question.
Please.
I'm not sure who would be the one to answer my question. Is in this legislation, it talks about census designated place. What does that mean as it relates to rural communities, and then also for uncharted, unincorporated places?
Right.
And I only ask that question because where I come from, we're constantly pushing back on some of these initiatives as it relates to rural communities. And then in the sense that we don't have the facilities, we don't have the resources in order to counter many of these addictive substance abuses. In that respect, that's what I wanted to ask.
And
What
to
does that
better
mean?
understand your question, are you referring to, because census designated places are obviously not incorporated municipalities, however, they may include communities on a reservation, like in my district,
Yes.
Sacaton, other census designated places. Is that correct? Just so we know, okay.
County islands is specifically what I'm asking
Fair enough,
about.
fair enough. Does anybody want to tackle that? All right, let's not all rush the microphone here.
Oh, there they go.
We have, well, you know what? Yeah. Let's do it.
Did you actually mean not rush the microphone, Senator?
Well, you know what? At this point in time, it's all comical to me.
The intention, Mr. Chair,
Please.
Senator, the intention including census-designated areas is to incorporate those communities that would meet the standards of fewer than 50,000 residents and more than 25 miles from a dispensary, but that might not be an incorporated city or town. And that would empower the County Board of Supervisors, if they did not want one, and this is what you may appreciate from this bill, is that they don't have to have one, and that there is extreme local control that is built into this mechanism and that they can opt out.
Does
Question.
that satisfy? Thank you.
No,
Please,
that
please.
doesn't satisfy my question, because we've been pushing back on the liquor license, and that becomes compromised when it goes to the county board of supervisors, because a lot of times they don't even go there. They go right straight to the state entity to apply for those licenses.
Okay. So it seems to me we just need some further clarification prior to this bill hitting the floor.
Yes.
On on how that would impact your community.
Yes, I do know that, for example, Tuba City has less than 50,000 in population, and then it's outside of the 25 miles because the dispensary that's in that area is in Flagstaff, Arizona. But we have a county island in Tuba City.
Yes, and you and I have discussed this.
Yes, and
before.
I've done or planned many protests against liquor licenses in those areas. That's why I'm asking.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
Senator, we
That's
look forward to resolving those concerns with you.
Great, great.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'm going to have to plan some protesting again.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Thank you.
It is very much in vogue these days. So. All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks, Julie.
Senator, if I might.
Let's just have everybody take a stab at it.
Exactly. No, Senator Kathy Sensman again with Arizona Dispensaries, Mr. Chairman, Senator Hathothili. That's one of the concerns that we have with the bill too, because census designated area could also be Sun City, you
Yes.
know, and so so where these could actually be located is a grave concern to us. And so, but you're absolutely right. I mean, that was one of the conversations we were having with DHS of like, let's heat map where this could really go and get an
To
idea
that
of how much
point,
this
Sun
is.
City's got dispensaries. I'm watching the old folks floating around there anyway.
Yeah, well, I think they're just outside of it in Peoria, but yeah, but just as an example of what you were talking about in Tuba City, absolutely. And so we look forward to working with Jessica and the group on this legislation to tighten it up.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
We do, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Gowan.
We are open to working with what we need to do, obviously. Our concerns, obviously, and mine are that we're, as Senator Gabaldon was talking about, being 25 miles out, and most, I would tell you, most of the dispensaries that used to be in rural Arizona have moved into Phoenix or Tucson, because they had that ability after so many years, even though the law stated they had to be there initially. Later on, when they had the ability to move in, they did. And so what this does is it helps fill that void. And that's why you said 25-mile radius, and you see under $50,000 with, 50,000
We'll take
residents to show the rural areas,
Yeah.
and that at the end of the day, they can garner the access if they do not have something that's close to them, which 25 miles away anyway. Most of them are further than 25 miles, so I'm just tired and just
Well,
staring over there.
Let's go ahead and have the vice chair move the bill then.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chair, I move that Senate Bill 1713 receive a due pass recommendation.
All right, members, there are no amendments. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Jackson, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
thank you. I received countless emails asking me to support this bill. I have had conversations with a lot of my constituents that had the situation that Mr. Gowan had indicated, where there's no dispensary, and the dispensary that is in the area, their product isn't as abundant as if they were to go to a dispensary in Tucson. I have people that I love very much, and that utilize cannabis and have really helped them in their ability to consume food, to not take pain medication, etc. I have, from day one, have been supportive of medical cannabis and recreational cannabis, and I just I want to thank the sponsor of this bill for moving this forward, and I vote aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Thank you. As I stated earlier, I mean, we need to have access in the areas. We talk about what the people wanted when they voted on this. They meant for the access to be outside of just the cities as well. So that's what this does. It creates that ability, if those regions agree to want to have it, which I think many will. And it also will stop the, well, nothing ever stops the black market, but it certainly will curtail it so that when these people are in need of their stuff there, they don't have to travel so far, and they can get it at home and actually do it legally. So, you know, rural Arizona sometimes just gets tagged a bit and forgotten, and we're not wanting to forget, and that's what this is about, not forgetting rural Arizona. So with that, I vote aye, and thank you.
May I explain my vote?
Please.
Unintended consequences is what's on my mind. I've worked with youth for more than 30 years. I've been constantly advocating on many issues. I recognize that there is a benefit, but I might also like to highlight that in the areas of cancer or any type of pain management, the people from the reservation travel to Phoenix. The people from the reservation travel to Prescott for veterans or cancer. We don't have a cancer center near us. And so maybe, you know, people always say you guys don't pay taxes. We dump a lot of money into this economy here. And that's my response to this. And if it benefits every other area, then that's fine. But for my communities, it ends up becoming something else, and that's what I'm protecting. And so I would like to vote in favor of this, but I want to continue to protect my communities. So for now, I'll vote no, and I'm looking forward to a productive discussion going forward. Thank you.
Senator Shamp, Senator Summervision,
Yes?
Senator Dunn,
Yes.
Senator Schiller.
Yeah, I'll just really briefly say that, yeah, I've run some of these bills that require 3/4 vote. I would highly encourage the proponents to, you know, there's not much to spare, I guess is the best way to say. So, you know, please, you know, do what I'm sure you'll be doing and as far as vote count. So with that, I vote aye.
6 ayes, 1 nay, 1 not.
By a vote of 6 ayes, 1 nay, 1 not voting, you've given Senate Bill 1713 a due pass recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
Thank you. We'll move on to
Thank you, Kathy.
1730, and then we will revert back to the bills that have already had discussion and vote those out.